Another thing from your mailbag that is kind of interesting. Did the Browns go too far trying to trick opponents last season? Bubba Ventrone saying tricks don't work against disciplined opponents. I think it's a sign that it's back to the basics for the Browns. I did think at times the Browns tried to outthink people. You know, at some point in time, if you've got Nick Chubb and you've got a big offensive line, the simplest solution is usually the one that works the best.
Yeah, I think that you made a good I think you pointed out a good difference between tricking and overthinking, right? Like, I don't like the Browns didn't do crazy stuff on special teams, right? There weren't a whole lot of fake punts or fake field goals. On defense, you know, maybe Joe Woods got too complicated, you know, so I think that's the overthinking part of it. We heard, you know, he would talk about that, having to roll back the play sheet. We heard, you know, John Johnson, I think Myles Garrett, Denzel Ward, like plenty of people talked about that. So to me, that's where it showed up. And you saw it in the breakdowns, like you mentioned previously. And I don't think that'll happen again because I think Jim Schwartz's scheme is just simpler for the players to learn and execute. And I think, you know, I get it, right? If you can be as complicated as possible and guys can execute that, then it's really helpful. And we've seen that from Bill Belichick, right? I think Sean Payton's got a complicated offensive system. But if your guys can't execute that, then it doesn't do you any good. And I think the Browns fell victim to that surely on defense. And then you can make that argument on offense as well.
Yeah, the other thing is just the whole identity of the defense. You know, I cringed when Joe Woods would say we're multiple. To me, when somebody says our defense is multiple, it means we don't do anything well enough that people fear it.
Yeah, no, I get it. And, you know, I would push back just a hair because, you know, the Belichick, you know, always talked about, you know, coaching from game to game, right? They're game plan specific. And Stefanski talks about that too, and I know Eric Mangini did, and he's a Belichick disciple, obviously. So I understand that part of it, right? You need to tweak from week to week. You can't just run the same stuff, right? But you have to have kind of a bread and butter. You have to have a core philosophy. And you're right. It just didn't sound right when Joe Woods is saying it when they're not doing any singular thing well.
Yeah, the tweaking should be matchups. You know, be aggressive and find the matchup you want to exploit. Bill Belichick is going to the Hall of Fame when he decides to call it quits by doing exactly that.